Hey folks, how you doing? It's me, it's Dave, filling in one more time for David. You know, at this point, I'm kind of just wondering if I should take over the channel from him. But we'll let it slide for now, right? Anyways, I guess I ain't too mad because, you folks are starting to grow on me. I'll admit it, I'm a softie. But before we get into the real meat of today's video, I'm going to give y'all some updates on behalf of David. So, long story short, it's been a long time since a new podcast episode has come out. Apparently, what happened with David and the gang is they've recorded a couple episodes about the Algerian War for Independence, but some stuff happened with the audio, and so they are going to re-record the series. And the nice thing about that is they're not just going to re-record, but also they're going to be able to do it in person now because they're all vaccinated. So you're going to get better audio quality for these new recordings. So they hope the wait will be worth it. That's really it for all the updates, you guys, which is good because it's not really my job to do that anyway. That's David's job. And getting a little sick of that guy, huh? But it's okay. I think I might just be blowing off steam because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pissed off. Why am I pissed off, you might ask, huh? Especially someone as even-tempered as me, who never loses his cool, folks. It takes a lot to get me upset. Why do you think I only come once every 8 or so episodes? It's because I'm normally such a nice guy. But something's got me pissed off, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm about to tell you what it is. I don't like it when people default back to lazy platitudes in how they try to understand the world. Now, I know that sounds a little bit vague. So, to be a little more specific, I don't like it when people take platitudes and truisms, a general idea that's just kind of generally agreed to be some sort of common wisdom, and use that as an absolute truth instead of something that you can kind of vaguely use as a guide. Now, to give a more tangible example of what I mean, there is an idea in some circles that you're not supposed to judge historical figures because they are the product of the times. Now, I think that's an okay sentiment. There's a lot of debate as to whether or not you can or should judge historical figures, but what I don't like is when people say that stuff about figures who were bad by the standards of their own day. But instead of trying to do the research to see what the standards of that day were, they just default to lazy truisms. Here's an example. Woodrow Wilson was a racist by the standards of the 1910s. However, I have heard people say when his racism is brought up, you can't judge people because they're the product of their times. Here's the thing, folks. Woodrow Wilson was a racist by the standards of his times. Now, again, you can still ask questions about how he came to be the racist that he was. You can kind of look at it in a historical and sociological way. And maybe you're even more interested in that than passing judgment on him as an individual because you're looking at bigger historical forces. And that's fine. But again, I have heard people say you can't judge him by our modern standards. You got to hold him accountable to the standards of the day. But what they implicitly mean is stop talking about that stuff. But I don't even think it's really them being malicious. They're just taking a lazy truism, something that they don't have to think critically about, just a little platitude that they can just cough up, and they're thinking that applies to everything, folks, that it can be a way to wash away discourse instead of engaging in it. Now, here's the thing. When you try to understand the world, it is impossibly complex. And sometimes, when you've been on a journey of understanding, there is a certain saying, a certain wisdom or truism that helps sort of summarize some of the more complex thoughts you have going around in your head. In those instances, a platitude kind of serves the function of condensing those thoughts that you've worked hard on. But there are just as many people who just want to regurgitate all these platitudes and all these truisms instead of doing the actual thinking and the studying and putting in the effort. And folks, I'm not up for that, because if people can't think about the world around them, instead of just lazily deferring to stuff like, you can't judge people by the standards of the day, the truth is always in the middle, just anything like that that replaces thought, instead of actually is used again to kind of supplement and summarize your thought, then people take shortcuts and people are not engaging with the world the best way they can. And folks, we've got a lot of problems in this world. And that's why I think people need to try a little bit harder, especially if you have the time, ability, and energy to do so. So that's my 2 cents for this week. I hope you all enjoyed. Stay safe out there. And I guess you'll have David back next week. But let's be real. I know that y'all are really waiting for me to come back again. Maybe I'll do you the favor. Until then, goodbye.